Hey guys, Rochelle here with Amethyst Ascension. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of a deck that was just given to me by the creator, my sister, Carla. Carla is a child care provider. Okay, she gets paid by the state to take care of children, namely her grandchildren, which one of which has a has autism, but I think she's a lower functioning autistic. I'm not exactly sure on the terminology and all that. My sister knows all that much better, and this has been her passion since she started taking care of her grandchildren and getting the various licenses that she does or qualifications. She continues to go to classes on this, and this deck was built around what she has learned in a particular category. And this is called, those are the backs, sorry, which is the key, which I think is wonderful. Echoes of the Inner Child. And this is by Carla Lancaster. It's a shadow work oracle. And it is designed to help you work through and recognize like patterns and understanding where these things came from, right? Let me just read the introduction to you because she does have a book that goes along with it. This is called Introduction. Welcome to the Shadow Work Oracle, a tool for meeting the hidden parts of yourself with compassion, courage, and truth. Shadow work is the process of exploring the aspects of ourselves that we often bury, ignore, or deny. These are the wounds that we carry, the patterns that we repeat, and the childlike parts of us still longing to be seen. By bringing them into the light of awareness, we reclaim power, wholeness, and freedom. This deck is divided into 4 categories. So this deck was designed to really, truly help you with these different categories. And let me tell you what the categories are, and I'll show you how. This is the title card. There are 52 cards that are in this oracle. 53 with the title card. There are sigils that separate all of the different categories. All right, and I'll show you. And then I'll show you the book too, at least the digital, which is available for sale. This is available on Make Playing Cards too. Okay, so let me bring this over a little bit. So the first category, which you will see by the little sigil here, this is the wounds category. It's the original experiences and fractures that shaped us. The echoes category, sorry, these are not lined up very well. The echoes category, you'll see it's like a spiral. The patterns and behaviors that replay in adulthood. There's more of these cards than any of the other categories. This third one is the inner child. This is the tender, playful, and wounded archetypes within. And these are the healing path cards, the medicine practices and choices that restore balance. Says each card offers keywords for quick insight, a description to deepen your understanding, and healing prompts for reflection, journaling, or meditation. So, like I said, I will be showing you also the book, okay? Now, there is a book that is now available, a couple of different books, paperback, that are available. I don't have my copy yet. It's on its way. From Amazon. They are available on Amazon. And the digital copy, it's also available on Kindle. And if you are a Kindle Unlimited, it's free through Kindle Unlimited for the guidebook. So anyways, I want to touch a little bit on each category before I show you the cards. But you know what? What I'm going to do is put each one aside until I get to that category and focus on one category at a time so you can see it. Let me get it a little bit bigger. And as I said, this is the bordered copy. There is also a borderless copy, and I will put links down below where you can find the different versions, okay? So this category, these are the roots. The root wounds that shape identity. They represent the cracks in the foundation of self, where the light of awareness never enters. So the sigil is broken circle, fracture, origin point, entry into shadow. This is what it looks like. You see that big? This is the page by itself, and then you go into, which I will go through that and show you all of that as well. But category meaning. The wounds represent the original fractures of the soul, the moments, patterns, or experiences that left lasting marks on your sense of self. They are the roots from which many shadows grow. The broken circle sigil reminds us that every wound begins with a break, but also that light enters through the cracks. To face these cards is to honor your origin stories, not to relive the pain, but to reclaim the strength hidden within it. So, let me put these in order right quick. So I do want to warn you that some of these cards are, it creates a visceral reaction in me because they're so sad, right? So our first card here in the wounds category is emotional neglect. This wound is born when your feelings were dismissed, ignored, or minimized. The message absorbed was your emotions are too much or not enough. As an adult, you may struggle with self-worth, struggle to ask for help, or hide your true feelings behind a mask. The key words are invisibility, silence, unacknowledged needs. Feelings are dismissed, minimized, or ignored. Adult disconnection from needs and emotions. The healing prompts are, because each card comes with journaling prompts. What emotions do I tend to push away? How do I dismiss my own needs today? And what would it feel like to let my feelings matter? And then also each card comes with like an affirmation. This one is, I honor my feelings and give myself the care that I once needed. I love that it's a key. And I put mine in this Moonlit Fae bag with the key. Love the bags. Here's physical neglect. When your physical needs were unmet, food, safety, warmth, or hygiene, it imprinted scarcity and insecurity into your nervous system. Even if your life now provides more stability, your body may still brace for lack, leaving you in a constant state of vigilance. Keywords are deprivation, survival, unmet care, basic needs not constantly met, or consistently met, I should say, leads to insecurity and hypervigilance. Healing prompts would be, do I allow myself to rest and feel nourished? Where do I still live from scarcity mindset? And how can I show my body I value its needs? And the affirmation is, my body is worthy of comfort, nourishment, and love. Wow. Next card we have is abandonment. Abandonment carves a deep void in the heart, whether through absent parents, emotional withdrawal, or inconsistent love. The child self learned that connection can vanish without warning. As an adult, this can manifest as clinging, fear of rejection, or choosing relationships that repeat the cycle. Keywords: loss, absence, longing. Caregivers physically or emotionally absent creates fear of rejection and clinging. The healing prompts are, When do I feel most afraid of being left alone? How do I seek reassurance from others? And what parts of me feel abandoned within myself? The affirmation is, I am never alone. I belong to myself and to life. Our next one is rejection. Rejection wounds form when you felt unwanted, ridiculed, or dismissed for who you were. It is the scar of not being enough or being too much. This wound often leads to perfectionism, self-criticism, or hiding authentic expression. Keywords: unworthy, unwanted, shame, criticism, or belittling creates shame and fear of conditional love. Healing prompts. What parts of myself do I still hide for fear of rejection? How do I respond when I feel criticized? And what would unconditional self-acceptance look like? Wow. And the affirmation is, my worth is inherent and unshakable. This is a powerful freaking deck. Parental and divorce and separation. So when caregivers separate, the child often feels split in two. It may leave you caught between sides or feeling like the world is fragile and unstable. As an adult, this wound may show up as difficulty trusting relationships to last or fearing betrayal. Wow. Boy, that is something that I deal with. And my mom was married 6 different times, right? Yeah. Keywords: split loyalties, instability, fractured home. Family rupture causes loyalty conflicts and fear of lasting love. Healing prompts: how did family separation shape my view of stability? Do I carry resentment towards one parent? What beliefs about love did I inherit from this? And the affirmation is, I hold both love and loss and remain whole. I'm going to eventually get myself the borderless copy. Addiction in the home. So addiction teaches a child that love can be erratic and unreliable. The caregiver becomes both the source of safety and the source of harm. Adults with this wound may find themselves drawn to unstable dynamics or become overly self-reliant. Keywords: secrecy, denial, instability. Addiction breeds secrecy and shame, creating codependency or compulsions later. The healing prompts are, what masks did I wear to survive unpredictability? Do I carry shame that belongs to my family? And how has addiction shaped my life? The affirmation is, I release patterns that are not mine to carry. Wow. Man, sis, this is so friggin' good. Household chaos. In a home ruled by shouting, instability, or volatility, whatever. The child's self learns to scan the environment constantly for danger. This hypervigilance often grows into adult anxiety, control issues, or difficulty relaxing into safety. Keywords: unpredictability, fear, instability, conflict, and validity train the nervous system to expect danger. Healing prompts: how comfortable am I with peace? Do I unconsciously invite drama into my life? And how can I ground myself when life feels unpredictable? The affirmation is, I create calm and stability within my own heart. Wow. Violence and abuse witnessed. So to witness violence is to internalize danger as the backdrop of life. The child's self may freeze, disassociate, or learn to stay invisible. In adulthood, this may surface as fear of conflict, anger, repression, or repeating abusive patterns. Fear, helplessness, trauma, imprint, witnessing, violence, imprints terror and distrust, even without direct harm. The prompts are, what did I learn about safety from witnessing violence? Do I carry fear from events that I didn't understand? And how can I reassure myself I am safe now? The affirmation, I am safe now and I choose peace. Direct abuse. When harm is done directly, emotional, physical, or sexual, it fractures innocence and creates deep mistrust. This wound often buries itself in shame, secrecy, and body memory. Healing is slow but possible when compassion and truth replace silence. So the keywords are betrayal, powerlessness, and survival. Emotional, physical, or sexual abuse creates deep fractures of trust and self-worth. The healing prompts are, where do I still carry blame that isn't mine? What would reclaiming my body look like? And how can I honor the survivor within me? The affirmation, my voice and my body belong to me. Parentification. So parentification happens when a child is forced to take on adult responsibilities, caring for siblings, managing emotions of parents, or holding the family together. It leaves the adult struggling with exhaustion, overgiving, or difficulty receiving care. Keywords, burden, lost childhood, over responsibility. The child forced into adult roles leading to over-functioning adulthood. The healing prompts are, where do I still feel responsible for others' well-being? What did I miss out as a child? And how can I give myself permission to play again? So the affirmation is, I am free to be cared for and to rest in innocence. Wow, this is some powerful, powerful stuff, sis. So the next one we have is about the echoes. And what it says, the next category, about the echoes, which you'll see the sigil right up here. The echoes are the behaviors, beliefs, and cycles born from wounds. They are survival strategies that once protected you, but now keep you circling the same pain. The sigil, spiral, inside of a square, repetitive pattern, the looping of old stories, the loop of past wounds replaying in adult life. So the category meaning is, the echoes are the adult manifestations of childhood wounds. They are the behaviors, identities, and coping mechanisms that we develop to survive, but which now keep us trapped in cycles of pain. Each echo reflects how the child's self-wound reverberates through the adult psyche, repeating until brought into awareness and compassion. So the first card we have is people-pleasing in the echoes category. When love was conditional, the child's self learned to earn safety by being good and meeting others' needs first. As an adult, this becomes chronic people-pleasing, sacrificing self for harmony, fearing rejection if boundaries are drawn. So, keywords, approval-seeking, self-betrayal, and overgiving. Love felt conditional, creating patterns of pleasing others at own expense. Healing prompts. When do I say yes when I want to say no? What does my body feel when I betray myself? And where could I practice authentic boundaries today? The affirmation, my no is as sacred as my yes. I normally would do like pairings and all that, but I really want you guys to see how in-depth this whole deck and book are. It's impactful, let's put it that way. Fear of intimacy. For those, I have heard people say many times that they don't know what shadow work is. They wouldn't even know where to begin. Okay, this is your green light. This deck is a green light, okay? And this is my opinion, okay? None of this is a replacement for help if you really need help. And there is a disclaimer in this book that states that this is not a replacement for any kind of therapy, but it can most certainly help. So, fear of intimacy. Do any of these things, do you recognize any of these things in yourself as we go through them? These are the ones that you will see manifested in the way that you are as an adult now. So the shadow reflects a protective strategy formed long ago, when closeness felt unsafe or love was unreliable. As an adult, it may appear as difficulty letting others in, withdrawing when things get too close, or testing partners to see if they will leave. The truth is, beneath this fear lies a deep longing for connection. Recognizing this pattern is the first step in gently dismantling the walls built around the heart. The key words are walls, avoidance, longing. Closeness felt unsafe, leading to fear of vulnerability in adulthood. The healing prompts are: how do I keep others at a distance? What feels threatening about being fully seen? And what small risk of vulnerability could I take today? The affirmation is: I welcome love with trust and healthy boundaries. My goodness. So, the next card we have here is emotional shutdown. To survive overwhelming emotions, the child self learned to shut down, freeze, or disconnect. This echo appears as emotional numbness in adulthood. Difficulty expressing feelings or appearing detached when inside you long for connection. So the key words are numbness, detachment, self-protection. Feeling too overwhelming led to learned numbness and disconnection. The healing prompts are: when do I retreat into numbness? Which feelings am I afraid of? And how can I safely disconnect with emotions? The affirmation is: it is safe for me to feel and express. You know, here's the thing. For me, not only can you recognize some of these things in yourself, but can you recognize some of these things around your friends and your family, your loved ones, and how they hold back sometimes, or people that you work with, and how you can see a lot of these, patterns can be misconstrued for something else. So understanding with like a deck like this and a book like this that gives you more in-depth understanding of where these things happen, it's almost like looking at that person with compassion in your eyes rather than looking at them with hatred or disdain, because you understand the root of it. You understand what they're dealing with, and it changes things. This is why this deck is so powerful. It can be so healing and revealing. So, control issues. Growing up in chaos often teaches the child that control is the only path to safety. In adulthood, this manifests as micromanaging, rigidity, or anxiety when things don't go according to plan. So the keywords are rigidity, fear of chaos, and perfection. Chaos as a child leads to clinging to control as an adult. The healing prompts: where do I try to control the uncontrollable? What fears arise when I loosen my grip? And what would trusting life look like? The affirmation is: I release the need to control and embrace flow. Anger outbursts. If anger was punished or unsafe in childhood, it may build up until it erupts in adulthood. This echo reflects both suppressed rage and the longing for boundaries that were never modeled. Keywords: rage, reactivity, defense. Suppressed pain resurfaces as sudden anger. So, healing prompts: what pain hides beneath my anger? I've said it many times. And this comes with awareness. When it looks like I am angry when I talk about certain things, it really does come from a place of pain, right? And it takes somebody that has emotional intelligence to understand that. This deck can help with that. So, what pain hides beneath my anger? When do I lash out instead of expressing vulnerability? And how can I release energy safely? Yes. The affirmation is, I channel my anger into clear, constructive action. Yes. Disassociation. When reality was unbearable, the child self learned to leave the body to escape into mind, fantasy, or numbness. In adulthood, this can manifest as zoning out, feeling unreal, or losing time. The keywords is escape, disconnection, and survival mode. Checking out mentally helped the child survive unbearable moments. The healing prompts. What triggers my urge to check out? How do I know I'm disconnected from my body? And what helps me return to presence? I am present and grounded in my body is the affirmation. My gosh, Carla, these are so good. Oh, anxiety spiral. Anxiety often comes from hypervigilance, always scanning for danger as a child. The spiral continues in adulthood through racing thoughts, overthinking, or catastrophizing. The keywords are worry, hypervigilance, racing mind. Hyper alertness became a survival strategy. Now overthinking adulthood. Healing prompts. What thoughts repeat endlessly? How do I soothe my nervous system? And what would safety feel like? The affirmation is, I breathe in calm and exhale fear. Wow. Depression fog. When wounds go unacknowledged, energy collapses into depression. This fog blankets motivation, joy, and vitality, creating withdrawal and despair. It is often grief unexpressed. The keywords: heaviness, hopelessness, withdrawal, retreating inward to survive pain creates numbness later in life. The healing prompts are, what emotions feel too heavy to carry? When do I withdraw from life? And what sparks even small joy for me? The affirmation, hope and light live within me, even in darkness. Addiction and compulsions. Keywords: escape, craving, self-soothing. Description: addiction begins as a coping mechanism, the attempt to soothe unbearable pain. Whether substances, food, sex, or technology, the compulsive cycle echoes the child's search for relief from suffering. Turning to substances or habits as coping when wounds are unhealed. And the healing prompts are, what am I avoiding when I am numb? What healthier comforts can I cultivate? And how can I address the root, not the craving? Wow. And the affirmation is, I meet my true needs with love and clarity. Self-sabotage. Self-sabotage undermines progress, afraid of success or intimacy. It's hidden belief. If I destroy it first, I won't be hurt later. Keywords are blocked, growth, fear of success, and unworthiness. So fear of success or joy rooted in unsafe love conditions. So the healing prompts are, where do I hold myself back? What do I fear about success? What would life feel like if I allowed success? Affirmation, I deserve success and allow myself to thrive. Yes. Perfectionism. Again, I repeat, how many of these characteristics can you see in yourself? Can you see in your loved ones, in your friends, in coworkers, and others, right? Perfectionism often grows from rejection wounds. The child self learned that being flawless was the only way to be safe or loved. As an adult, this manifests as impossible standards, burnout, or never feeling good enough. Keywords: overachievement, pressure, fear of mistakes. Love tied to performance leads to relentless striving. Healing prompts: where am I holding impossible standards? How do I respond to mistakes? And what does enough look like? The affirmation: I am worthy exactly as I am, imperfections and all. Fear of abandonment. This fear arises when abandonment was a real or perceived threat in childhood. It leads to grasping, testing, or sabotaging relationships as a way to prevent loss. Underneath is a deep longing for safety and reassurance. So the keywords are clinging, mistrust, and neediness. Instability in childhood creates constant fear of loss. Healing prompts: how do I react when others pull away? What do I need for security? And how can I reassure my inner child I'm not leaving? So the affirmation is: I trust that love remains even when people change. Overachiever identity. When love is earned through performance or responsibility, the child self became the good one. As an adult, this identity can feel like carrying the weight of the world, constantly achieving but rarely resting. The keywords are striving, productivity, worthiness. Tied to doing, worth bound to productivity and achievements. And the healing prompts are: do I feel valuable without producing? What is my relationship with rest? And what would I be without doing? My value is my being, not my doing. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Chronic guilt. Children in chaotic homes often internalize guilt, believing that everything is their fault. In adulthood, this guilt lingers as a constant hum, leading to over-apologizing, people-pleasing, or feeling undeserving of joy. The keywords are burden, over-responsibility, and apology. Blamed as a child, leading to over-apologizing and guilt. Healing prompts: where do I carry guilt that isn't mine? Do I confuse guilt with responsibility? And how can I release misplaced burdens? I release guilt that is not mine to hold. That's the affirmation. Shame spiral. Shame is the wound of I am bad, I am broken. When triggered, it spirals into collapse, isolation, or self-loathing. The spiral often repeats until broken with compassion, vulnerability, and truth. Keywords: unworthy, self-loathing, and secrecy. Deep shame born of rejection or abuse, resurfacing as self-sabotage. So healing prompts: what parts of me feel unworthy of love? What do I hide out of shame? And what would self-compassion look like? The affirmation is: I stand in my inherent dignity and self-compassion. My goodness. Difficulty trusting. Description: broken trust in childhood through lies, betrayal, or neglect teaches the child to expect harm. As an adult, it shows up as testing others, constant suspicion, or withholding vulnerability. Yes. Keywords: suspicion, guardedness, and self-protection. Broken trust in childhood breeds guardedness in adulthood. So the healing prompts are: what relationships feel unsafe? What does trust mean to me? And where could I practice trust in small ways? The affirmation is: I trust myself and discern trustworthy connections. Yes, oh my gosh. Fear of authority. When authority figures were cruel, dismissive, or unsafe, the child self learned to shrink or rebel. This fear echoes in adulthood as anxiety around bosses, institutions, or anyone in power. Keywords: intimidation, silence, power imbalance. Abusive or inconsistent authority figures leave adult fear of power. Healing prompts: how do I react to authority? What childhood dynamics shaped this? And where can I reclaim power? Affirmation: I stand in my own power with confidence and ease. Do you see what a powerful friggin' deck this is? I mean, it puts tears in my eyes. It is so friggin' powerful. I definitely feel this in my body, in my pain body. Escapism. Escapism is the strategy of fleeing pain when it feels unbearable. In childhood, it may have been books, daydreams, or fantasy worlds. As an adult, it can become disassociation, overconsumption, or living everywhere but the present. Keywords: fantasy, avoidance, distraction. Fantasy or distraction provided safety. Now avoidance of reality. Healing prompts: how do I avoid what feels hard? What role did fantasy play in survival? And how can imagination be healing instead of escape? I face life with courage and stay present to my truth. That's the affirmation. My goodness, that is so good. So the next category we have is about the inner child. So about the inner child, and you'll see this is what the sigil looks like. The inner child cards reveal the many archetypes of your younger self. Some wounded, some playful, some wildly free. These inner children still live within you, influencing how you love, trust, create, and heal. The Star of Memory sigil reflects both the innocence and brilliance of the child self, preserved like a light in the dark. These cards remind you to listen to your inner children, to comfort them, and to reclaim the gifts that they still hold. Sigil, Star of Memory. Star within a crescent moon, the child self preserved within. Category meaning: the inner child cards reveal the tender, hidden parts of you that still live within your psyche. Each archetype represents a fragment of innocence, longing, or creativity that continues to shape your adult life. Some inner children are wounded and cry for healing. Others carry light, magic, and joy waiting to be reclaimed. So we have the crying child here. The crying child is the part of you that was never fully comforted. Tears were perhaps shamed, ignored, or hidden away. As an adult, this child may surface when grief rises unexpectedly or when emotions feel overwhelming. This child holds the tears that you were never allowed to shed, whether shamed, ignored, or silenced. Their grief still waits to be held with compassion. Meeting the crying child means honoring the sacred truth in your sorrow. Keywords: grief, longing, tenderness. Holds unexpected sorrow, seeking release and compassion. The healing prompts: what tears have I swallowed? Where do I silence sadness? What would it feel like to cry without shame? And the affirmation is: my tears are holy and bring healing. Yes. This deck gets me really emotional. Okay, so the next one is the lonely child. This child knows the ache of solitude, sitting alone, waiting for someone who never came. The lonely child surfaces when you feel cut off from love or misunderstood. Healing begins with compassion or companionship, letting them know they are no longer alone. Keywords: isolation, longing, abandonment. Carries the ache of being left alone or unseen. Healing prompts are: when do I feel most alone? How do I respond to loneliness? What does true belonging mean to me? Affirmation: I welcome connection and nurture my own companionship. The invisible child. This child learns survival by fading into the background. In adulthood, this energy echoes as withholding opinions, shrinking in groups, or feeling unseen. Healing the invisible child means reclaiming your voice, your presence, and your right to take up space. Keywords: silence, unnoticed, overlooked. Learn to fade into background for survival. Healing prompts: where in my life do I hide? What would it feel like to be visible? What gifts have gone unseen? Affirmation: I allow myself to be fully seen and heard. The angry child. The angry child carries the raw power of boundaries violated or injustice endured. Though often shamed, anger is also a sacred protector. This child rises when your needs are ignored or when old wounds are touched. The angry child holds all the times boundaries were broken and safety was denied. Their rage is not wrong. It is the raw voice of your need for protection. Healing means letting anger become a sacred fire that fuels healthy boundaries instead of destruction. Keywords: rage, frustration, rebellion. Holds anger that was unsafe to express, turning inward. Healing prompts: what injustice still burns in me? How was my anger received as a child? And how can I channel anger healthily? Affirmation: my anger is a sacred protector and guide. Mouses. This deck. Oh, the playful child. The playful child is your source of laughter, curiosity, and delight. This part of you remembers wonder, the magic in games, exploration, and stillness. Healing here is about permission to play again without guilt. Keywords: joy, imagination, and curiosity. Spark of wonder and laughter buried beneath survival. The healing prompts: when was the last time I played? What sparks my curiosity, and how can I invite more laughter? I delight in joy, curiosity, and laughter. That is the affirmation. This deck is amazing. It just brings out emotions in me. The dreamer. The dreamer saw castles and clouds and infinite possibilities. This child carried visions that may have been dismissed as unrealistic. Their voice asks you to reclaim hope, wonder, and the magic of possibility. Keywords: imagination, escape, vision, creative fantasy, as sanctuary, also a wellspring of creativity. Healing prompts: what dreams carried me through hardship? Which visions still live in me? How can imagination become medicine? I honor the visions and hopes of my soul is the affirmation. The storyteller. The storyteller child gave life to experience through words, drawings, or fantasies. They turned pain into tales and wonder into magic. As an adult, reclaiming this child means embracing your power to shape your story instead of being defined by it. Keywords: expression, creativity, and witness. Processes chaos through story, words, or art. Healing prompts. What stories still shape me? Where have I silenced my voice? And how can I express truth creatively? Affirmation: my stories are powerful and worthy of sharing. The artist. The artist child painted with color, sound, or movement to give form to feelings too big for words. Whether through art, music, or craft, they express soul through creativity. This card invites you to honor their gifts. Keywords: creativity, sensitivity, vision. Turned pain into beauty through art and vision. The healing prompts are: what creative outlets called to me as a child? How did creativity go unrecognized? And what could I reawaken now? And affirmation: creative energy flows freely through me. The caretaker. The caretaker child was forced to grow up too soon, soothing others, protecting siblings, or managing adult burdens. This role created strength but also exhaustion. Healing means allowing this child to rest and receive care. Keywords: responsibility, empathy, burden. Cared for others too early, losing childhood innocence. Healing prompts: who did I feel responsible for? Where do I still overgive? How can I nurture myself? Affirmation: I care for myself as lovingly as I care for others. Beautiful. Powerful. The rebel. The rebel child fought back against injustice, sometimes in secret, sometimes boldly. They refuse to conform to silence or suppression. Their spirit is wild, necessary, and alive. Healing means honoring rebellion as sacred truth-telling. Keywords: defiance, freedom, resistance. Sacred protest against injustice and hypocrisy. Healing prompts: what rules felt suffocating? How did I resist as a child? Where does my rebel still live? I embrace my freedom and speak my truth, is the affirmation. The protector. The protector child stepped forward to guard your inner world, deflecting pain, shielding innocence, creating walls. This archetype kept you alive, but may now block intimacy and trust. Healing means thanking them, then allowing softer defenses. Keywords: defense, resilience, and strength. Stood guard for self or siblings, even when danger passed. Yeah. Healing prompts: whom did I protect? What cost did constant vigilance carry? And how can I thank my protector self? Affirmation: I am safe and can soften into trust. Aren't these hard-hitting, you guys? The wild child. The wild child ran barefoot into the night, felt the stars in their bones, and defied confinement. This part of you is primal, connected to nature and untamed. Healing means giving them space to move, dance, explore, and to be free again. Keywords: untamed, free spirit, authenticity. Raw, instinct, and truth, often shamed for being too much. Yeah. Healing prompts: what wild parts were silenced? Where do I censor myself? And how can I honor my spirit today? Affirmation: I celebrate my untamed, authentic spirit. Then we go into the last category, which is the healing path category. So the healing path category, these cards hold the medicine of the deck, the practices and soul choices that help you reclaim your power, soften the pain, and transform shadow into wisdom. Sigil: sun of wholeness, or mandala, illumination, right? And the keywords are illumination, integration, and return to self. So the category meaning, the healing path cards are the guiding lights of this deck. They represent the tools, practices, and inner alchemy that brings the wounded self back into wholeness. Each offers not just awareness, but a way forward, acts of healing that turn pain into wisdom and shadow into strength. So the first card we see here is reparenting. Reparenting is the act of becoming the caregiver you always needed. It asks you to notice your inner dialogue and replace criticism with compassion. This path is about providing for yourself comfort, structure, and unconditional love so that the child within finally feels safe. Keywords: nurture, inner voice, safety. Become the caregiver that you needed, soothing the inner child. Healing prompts: what words did I long to hear? Or what words did I long to hear? What rituals of safety can I create? And write a letter offering love to your younger self. Affirmation: I give myself the unconditional love I once longed for. Setting boundaries. Boundaries are acts of self-respect. This card arises when you are called to protect your time, energy, and heart. Healthy boundaries are not walls but gates, allowing love in while keeping harm out. Protection, empowerment, clarity. Boundaries restore sovereignty, turning no into sacred protection. The healing prompts are: where do I allow energy drains? How does guilt block boundaries? And what boundary can I set today? Healthy boundaries honor my soul and my peace. Absolutely. Inner child play. Play is not frivolous. It is medicine. This card invites you to let your child self breathe again, to laugh, create, and delight in small joys. Healing comes from remembering you are allowed to experience wonder. Keywords are joy, freedom, innocence. Reclaiming joy is medicine. Laughter restores innocence. Healing prompts are: what activities did I love as a child? When did I last laugh deeply? And how can I make space for replay or foreplay? I nourish my spirit with wonder and playfulness. That is the affirmation. Therapy and journaling. Keywords are reflection, honesty, and healing tools. Therapy and journaling creates safe containers for truth. Writing gives shape to hidden feelings. Therapy provides witness and guidance. Both are paths of integration, helping you process instead of suppress. Healing prompt: what truth am I afraid to write down? How might professional support lighten my load? Keywords again: reflection, support, expression. Processing story with safe witnessing or writing. The healing prompts are: what story needs telling? What truth do I censor in journals? And who can hold space for me? I grow through reflection and compassionate inquiry. That was the affirmation. Ancestral healing. Keywords is lineage, release, and restoration. Description: you carry the echoes of those who came before, both their strengths and their wounds. This card invites you to honor your roots while breaking patterns that no longer serve. By healing, you heal backwards and forwards through your line. Oh my gosh, that is so good. What family patterns am I here to end? What gifts from my ancestors do I wish to reclaim? Inherited wounds passed through family lines seek healing. So here's the healing prompts: what patterns run in my family? Which burdens aren't mine? And which ritual could honor and release lineage pain? So I honor my lineage and transform inherited pain is the affirmation. Forgiveness. Keywords: release, compassion, and renewal. This card asks you to forgive yourself for not knowing, for coping, for surviving the only way that you could. Self-forgiveness is not letting yourself off the hook. It is releasing shame and reclaiming your wholeness. Healing prompt. What mistake or regret am I still punishing myself for? How can I show compassion to the me that was hurting? Healing prompts. Where do I hold myself to impossible standards? What mistakes replay in my mind? And list I forgive myself for. I forgive myself and embrace my wholeness. That's the affirmation. Forgiveness of others. Release, freedom, and closure. Forgiving others does not mean condoning harm. It means cutting the cord that binds you to their actions. Forgiveness is freedom, a gift that you give yourself. Healing prompt. Who still takes up space in my heart? Through resentment. What might freedom feel like if I released them? Keywords. Release, freedom, and closure. Unbinding from resentment frees your spirit. Healing prompts. Who do I still hold anger towards? What would releasing give me back, and what ritual could release resentment? The affirmation is I release resentment and free my heart. Compassion. Keywords. Empathy, softness, unity. Description. Compassion is the bridge between suffering and love. It asks you to soften, not just for others, but for yourself, to hold even your flaws and shadows with kindness. Healing prompt. Where am I hardest on myself? How can I offer compassion instead of judgment today? Keywords. Empathy, kindness, heart opening, seeing the wounded child in all, beginning with yourself. Yes, that's what I mean. In all conversations, Carla and I did this live talking about how we found each other again. And I'm so grateful for the time that we were apart, because things like this came from that, right? It was, I think, that time that made us both look inward at ourselves and outward at others and how they were. So it's through that that I feel this need for compassion and understanding. But anyways, the healing prompts are, how do I speak to myself in struggle? Or how do I speak to myself, in struggle? Where can compassion replace judgment? And what does radical self-kindness look like? Affirmation. Kindness begins within and flows outward. Right on. Shadow integration. Wholeness, acceptance, and unity. Integration is not about erasing darkness, but befriending it. This card invites you to meet the parts of yourself that you've hidden and weave them back into your being. You're not broken. You are many, becoming whole. Healing prompt. What trait or impulse do I still reject in myself? And how might this shadow hold hidden strength? Keywords are acceptance, wholeness, and alchemy. Embracing, not erasing, the shadow turns wounds into wisdom. Healing prompts. What part of me do I hide? What gift hides within my shadow? And how can I honor my shadow today? I welcome every part of me into the light of acceptance. That was the affirmation. That shadow integration, that is like seeing the shadow. I think going into the shadow, that is the adversary. That is the devil card in tarot, in my opinion. Integration is, I think, the tower, but seeing it is the devil. Spiritual practice. Keywords: grounding, devotion, and alignment. Ritual, prayer, meditation, or magic. Spiritual practice is the anchor for healing. It connects you to something larger, a rhythm that steadies you. Healing deepens when spirit is woven into daily life. Healing prompts. What practices help me feel connected to spirit? How can I create space for ritual in my routine? Again, the keywords are grounding, ritual, and connection. Ritual, meditation, or prayer as anchor through shadow. The healing prompts would be: what practices connect me to spirit? How do I weave ritual daily? And what would grounding in spirit look like? Affirmation: my spirit is nourished by daily devotion and presence. Creative expression. Flow, release, authenticity. Art, dance, music, writing, creative expression lets the soul speak. This card invites you to express feelings that words alone cannot hold. Creation is healing, not for perfection, but for liberation. This is what I've said many times, that when I am creating something, it's like therapy for me. What medium feels most natural for me to express myself? That's one of the healing prompts. And when did I last create joy? When did I last create just for joy? Yes. Keywords: artistry, channeling, freedom. Expression transforms pain into beauty and medicine. These healing prompts: what creative outlet feels alive now? How did creativity save me as a child? And what can I express today beyond words? I create boldly as an act of healing and joy. And that is the affirmation. Our last card in the deck is community and support. Healing does not happen alone. This card reminds you that community is medicine, being seen, held, and supported by others on the path. Leaning into safe connections helps transform isolation into belonging. Healing prompt: who feels like safe community for me now? And where might I find or create spaces of belonging? Keywords: belonging, connection, witness. Healing happens in relationship and safe belonging. These healing prompts are: who feels safe to me? Where do I isolate when I need support? And how can I lean into community? Affirmation: I am supported and connected to a loving community. Okay, so now let me show you, again, these are the backs. Now this one is the bordered version in the economy, which is just your standard smooth, okay? But Carla does also offer on her Make Playing Cards, and I'll be putting links down below to her Make Playing Cards shop, where you can get different versions of this. So make sure that you're reading through the description so that you know which one you're looking for. Now, this is the bordered. This also comes in, I believe, with a tin, with gilding, and linen, okay? And with, I don't know all of them offhand, but like I said, check out what she does, and she might be adding more, who knows. She also has a borderless version, so no borders at all, where the artwork goes all the way to the edge, which I think I'm going to cut this version down, and then I'm going to do just a short with it and show you what it looks like with the borderless. I am just absolutely in love with this deck, but I think the borders need to go. For me, for my liking. I know there's people that love the borders. And I don't think it looks bad because the artwork is just absolutely stunning. Okay? I will put a link also to Carla's walkthrough of this. But before I end this video, I do want to show you. Let me turn these lights off. All right. This is the digital book that is available on Carla's Ko-fi shop. Okay? And this is the cover, and I did see her proof copy this last week, yesterday, Sunday. My mom and her came to visit, and she brought me her proof copy, and it is like it feels like a rose petal cover on the book, and this is what the book looks like. This is exactly what it looks like. It's just in paper. She does have a black and white version. And then she has a full colored version. The paperback for the black and white version is $9.99. And then the paperback for the full color, which is just beautiful, is $18.99 or $19.99. I'm not sure. It's somewhere around there. Just follow the links through, or I'll just put a link to her author page on Amazon where you can pick this up. As I said, there is also a Kindle version. Let me get this a little bit closer so you can see. So, this is fully linkable, okay? So, the cover, even if you click on that, it takes you to the table of contents. You click on anything, it takes you to those pages. If you click on the symbol, it'll take you to what that particular symbol means, okay? Any of the numbers that you click on take you back to the table of contents. So I'm just going to show you. I'm going to go through a few of these. Full page, and that's what it looks like with the book that you get also. A full page. It's just like the book that I did. Let me show you. Because I helped my sister to format it, her book, okay? It's a full page. Like so. You can see the words are very far away, or they're not encroaching on, what do you call this? The spine. I made sure that I formatted my book and her book where there is plenty of space all the way around, okay? The font is large enough. Her font is larger also, and just absolutely beautiful, okay? So, for those that have issues with seeing a digital version, look at, you can blow it up, right? Which makes it even easier. It's kind of backlit on an iPad or whatever you're, looking at, whatever you're using. You can go like this, just like a regular book, just like flipping it. Look at how beautiful that is. You can really blow it up, right? Get really detailed with the digital. But this is fully linkable. Isn't it just beautiful? And there's the closing, and there's the back page. You click on it, come on, and it takes you right back to the front page. Every single one of these takes you to the main write-up so that you know, for the 4 categories. So there you go, guys. As I said, I'm going to be doing a... So as I said, I'm going to be doing a walkthrough, a short walkthrough after I cut all these down and make them borderless. Just a short so that you can see what they look like borderless. And I'll be putting all the links down below so that you can find this for yourself. The book on Amazon or the digital on her Ko-fi, and the decks are on Make Playing Cards, and they come in many different options with a border and borderless. So I would love to know your thoughts. And I know that this was a little bit longer, but I really wanted to show what kind of value comes with this particular deck. It's profound. The deck itself is just profound. My sister has put in so much work. I tell you, it brings me to tears. I seen it the first time when she showed it to me, and I got goosebumps and a visceral reaction and got all teary-eyed, and it's that good. It is so good. It is probably now the #1 deck that I would use for any kind of shadow work, hands down. So thank you for spending this time with me. Again, it's called The Echoes of the Inner Child. It's a shadow work oracle, and it was created by my beautiful sister, Carla Lancaster, over at the YouTube channel, MissCoolala's Mystical Musings. Thank you for spending time with me. I send in you love always.